episode of our new podcast series, Urjatalk, a combined initiative of Customized Energy Solutions and Clean Energy Access Network, which takes you deep into the world of energy innovations and sustainable solutions shaping our future. I'm your host, Muskan, and today we will talk about how DRE has changed in the past few decades, transforming the socio-economic condition of the country. India's journey with decentralized renewable energy is a testament to innovation, resilience, and a steadfast commitment to sustainability. From humble beginnings in the 1970s with small-scale experimental projects to shifting towards solar lanterns, biogas, and improved cook stoves in the early 90s, to the advancement in technology and leading to more efficient and cost-effective renewable energy solutions, and electrifying villages through off-grid and microgrid solutions in the late 2000s. Today, DRE is increasingly playing an important role in transforming the socio-economic development of our nation. We have two distinguished guests today representing CES and Clean, who will talk more about the sector. Please welcome Dr. Priyadarshini Karve and Mr. Nitin Akhade. Dr. Priyadarshini, you have been in the energy sector for almost 3 decades now. What is your take on DRE as a whole in national and regional outlook, and how has it impacted the sectors over the time?
Thanks, Muskan. So, DRE or decentralized renewable energy has sort of changed its meaning and its role in the overall energy sector over the years. 1990s, this was mainly about distributing solar lights and installing biogas plants or improved cook stoves in rural poor households or very remote areas where grid connection cannot reach or where fossil fuel supply chains are weak. So it was sort of believed that these pockets will be served with decentralized renewable energy, mainly for household use, to provide minimum kind of an energy service to people who are totally deprived. But over the years, as new technologies have come in, a lot of innovation has happened both on the business side and also the overall outlook towards the energy sector. The importance of renewable energy also increased with the climate change and other issues coming in. So all of this has played a role in now creating this dual sort of identity for DRE. So now DRE is both a decentralized renewable energy, but it can also mean distributed renewable energy. In decentralized renewable energy, you generate energy on the location where you want to use an energy service and you use it there directly. For example, rooftop solar electricity generation for electrifying the household, or a biogas plant which is providing cooking energy in the kitchen nearby. Distributed renewable energy, on the other hand, is you have a local small scale energy generation system, but it feeds into centralized supply chain. So you may have a rooftop solar system, but the electricity is being fed into the grid, or you may have a community scale biogas plant and the gas is filled into cylinders, and then the compressed biogas or bio CNG as it is called, those cylinders are supplied as fuel. So these are here the generation is localized, but the use is more centrally governed. So both of these are now part of our energy system, and it is not only about providing household energy services, but it is also about providing reliable, good quality energy for running a variety of small scale industries, for example. So it is not just about quality of life, but it is also about livelihood generation. I think agriculture is the sector which is benefiting the most in the process through interventions like solar water pumps, for example, or various types of food processing equipment running on solar powered electricity. Solar thermal is also playing a role, like solar drying, and systems like biogas plants where the gas goes into the kitchen and the slurry goes into the farm as fertilizer. So these are the various ways in which mainly the agriculture sector is benefiting, but also there are now solar powered sewing machines, solar powered pottery wheels, solar powered silk weaving machines. All types of artisanal or micro scale enterprises can run on decentralized renewable energy systems.
This is great to know about it. Mr. Nitin, you have been working closely on development and upliftment of rural economy. How do you think DRE helps in building a sustainable future at household level in rural India?
Yeah, thank you, Muskan, and thank you, Priyadarshini ji, for elaborating, right, has how DRE has evolved over last half a century, we can say in a nutshell. So my experience of going around India, now traveling almost around 382 districts out of 765 over last 9 years. I've seen give some example, right, how DRE has really like impact not only the rural livelihoods, but it's at some extent stem the reverse migration also, and how it is important. What Priyadarshini ji also emphasized on agriculture, it contributes 16% to the GDP, and it is giving almost 45 to 50% of jobs to the Indian economy totally. If you take allied sector also, then it is much more in terms of job and 16% contribution to GDP. So one, I will see like how this DRE act as a bijli se business. Some small anecdotes I can give. Once I was in Jammu Kashmir in Rajouri district, right, in Kotranka and Thana Mandi block near the Jammu border. So people are now emphasizing they are growing a lot of maize there, quality maize where popcorn can be made. There are a lot of cheap rearing happening there. But small and decentralized renewable energy backed clean tech solutions can really enhance their productivity. And with tribal research institutes and clean members, we can really take this forward, right? How we can really support those budding enterprises. So that's from the most northern part of our country. Now moving to the northeast. When we talk about northeast, it's a very amazing part of our country with a lot of natural resources and amazing human capital. So when we were visiting Tuensang, it's almost near to the Myanmar border. There are a lot of people are growing ginger, and one best thing they have started now is growing coffee on the mountains of Tuensang as a new livelihood source. So dryers, then roasting of coffees, right? They require sub HP like 1 or 2 3 HP load. So if that can be powered with decentralized solutions, it can really boost the economy of that part of the region. Similarly, in Meghalaya, when we talk about Jaintia, Garo, and Khasi Hills, where a lot of members of clean working, we see like there is a lot of potential on developing rural economy on silk reeling. There are silk villages in Meghalaya, and where this solar plus battery and other sources like pico hydro wind can really contribute for the development of the local economy, boosting the state economy. Now when we go down to the western part of the country, where we talk about a lot of large scale pump deployments have been done, and it has been one of the good scheme, kusum scheme. But when we see the utilizations of the pump, they are 27 to 35% in most of the cases. So what we have been able to do is understand the productive end use along with the pump. So one of the entrepreneur called Ashish Bhoir in Junnar Taluka of Pune district, he have set up a small mineral bottling unit tie up with the solar water pump, and with the net revenue he was able to generate 16,500 rupees as a profit per month by selling 20 liters of water jar to marriage ceremonies, to schools, to healthcare facilities by using the same electricity pump. So the utilization of that pump has gone now to 67 70% from the baseline 28% what we have done. So this is the impact, right, and different models that has been created. If we talk about eastern part of the country, whether it is Bihar, UP, or Jharkhand, when we travel to. So now coming to the most populous state of our country, UP, the story goes like this. When we travel to UP, we see a lot of potential on milling through decentralized renewable energy, where a multi-purpose axle machine can give a lot of potentials for earning livelihood in that part of the country, as well as on the pulses when we talk about in Jharkhand, in Gumla, Simdega, Hazaribagh, Gardwa, Latehar district, where a lot of pulses are grown, and that can really boost the pulses cultivation. It is going down. So innovation coupled with DRE can really benefit the local and rural communities apart from giving jobs and to manufacturing for developing such machines. Now coming finally, right, where we are talking about the southern part of our country, where most of the technologies are developed most of the time and disseminated to other part of the country, but there are a lot of innovations going on. They are also on clean cooking solutions, on developing solar home systems, hybrid systems, and also deployment of them on field, be it solar thermal or be it biomass for cooking, right, with improved cook stoves and all. So this has been the journey across the India, and particularly we feel India is an bed for developing affordable, adaptable, and reliable solution also for Africa. What we see going ahead, right? So where there is a potential for entire Indian DRE ecosystem to contribute in the larger context of empowering that continent also from the lessons we have learned in DRE for over last 30, 40 years, 3, 4 decades. And concluding on that note, really DRE can be a substantial part in reaching to that RE targets also what government is pitching, right? And helping contributing to the overall development of the jobs at the urban and the rural context. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin, for sharing the stories from the ground and letting us know different things that are going in different regions, along with the stories from Africa. Now, moving on to Urja Talk. Dr. Priyadarshini, what is the objective behind this podcast and who will be the voices of it?
So, as I mentioned, and also Nitin actually elaborated with examples, DRE started off as something which only fills the vacancies where the mainstream energy reaches. And unfortunately, most people still have that same perception in their mind, in spite of the fact that a lot of things are happening and continue to evolve on the ground. So, from the perspective of Clean Energy Access Network, which is an industry association of DRE entrepreneurs and practitioners, we want to highlight this new transformative role that decentralized and distributed renewable energy systems are playing in the overall energy transition of India. And also, as Nitin rightly mentioned, India can show the way to the rest of the developing world. So energy transition across the developing world. So if we think of it from that perspective, lot is happening, but the information is not reaching out. And since the DRE interventions happen locally, I mean, that is what DRE is. It's a fragmented story. So we want to get this story out there to policymakers, to other DRE practitioners, to other sectoral players who, so for example, there are many NGOs trying to create rural livelihoods, but may not be aware of the role that decentralized renewable energy can play in achieving their goals. So getting this story out there to the relevant people, that's the main objective from our side, from the side of Clean for Urja Talk. We hope that this podcast will sort of become the mouthpiece for decentralized renewable energy technologies and their potential to transform rural economy in particular, but the country's economy in general.
This is clearly a great initiative from Clean and CES. So I would like to know from both of you that since it is a collaboration with Clean and CES, how do you see the evolution of this podcast and how will it help the people in the sector and people who really need to know things at ground level?
Yeah, I think thanks to Priyadarshini ma'am, and I second every thought she has mentioned, how this can act as a conduit of different voices, right? From grassroots, from peri-urban, urban areas, where energy can be a lever of development. And how we feel at Clean and Customized Energy Solutions, Customized Application for Rural Economies initiative is like taking this entire ecosystem together, right? On how we can take these voices, what are amazing things happening on ground, sharing the lessons in terms of both successes and failures. So we can leapfrog some of the failures when somebody is doing other things. A lot of things are happening in India. It's a big subcontinent we have, but start reinventing the wheel again. So sharing those experiences, growing ahead, and also involving different aspects of stakeholders in entire ecosystem. What we see like now, Clean has been doing for a decade, more than decade, like policymakers, right business models on ground, right financing channels, access to market. I think this is a big area where CS will also like to support Clean members and CS what initiatives we are doing. So this as a Urja Talk, it will really give an Urja, the light of development for empowering the communities, right, and taking the nation forward.
Yes, I totally agree with Nitin, and I think this is a very sort of complementary kind of team that is coming together to produce this podcast, where Clean has this whole range of ground level practitioners, and CES is there with its own grassroots level experience, and both of us together can also bring in policymakers and other stakeholders into the conversation. And this podcast, Urja Talk, can become a vehicle vehicle for information sharing, and also, as Nitin rightly pointed out, we don't know, maybe through these conversations some new innovations also may emerge.
Exactly. I see it always like it's your network is your network for the members and for entire ecosystem. So if we can develop this network more stronger, it will be the net worth of our members, the practitioners, which are actually aiding bit by bit for the development of the country's economic scenario going ahead. So I totally appreciate what she said, and looking forward for the amazing conversations that will be lined up in coming months on this Urja Talk. That's from my end.
Thank you for sharing your views with me today. And that brings us to the end of our very first episode of Urja Talk. Priyadarshini ma'am and Nitin sir, thank you for joining us today. Hopefully our listeners have found today's discussion inspiring and informative. Dear listeners, I want to extend a heartful thank you to every single one of you. Whether you have been with us from the very beginning or you just tuned in, your support means everything to us. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback not only helps us to improve but also helps other listeners discover the show. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handle for all the latest updates and announcement about the upcoming episodes. We would love to hear from you if you have any questions, topics you would like us to cover, or guest you would like to see on the show. Feel free to reach out to us. Be sure to tune into our next episode where we'll continue to explore the innovations and stories driving the future of energy. Until then, keep the energy flowing and stay committed to a greener tomorrow.